Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Danger Room. We are here at the midnight release of Fantastic Four #1, August 2018. The team, the title, it's back. It's been like a 3 or so year gap. I'm here with Anthony Brown and Kade Poulson, and we're going to give you our rapid-fire reactions just moments after finishing reading it here. And I will warn you, I guess we're going to try to release this on the day of release on Wednesday. We're going to do our best to do that then or very soon. So if you haven't read it yet, there's bound to be some spoilers. So pick up the comic and then read this once you've read the comic, or just be prepared that we're probably going to have some spoilers over the course of discussing this new issue. But it is Fantastic Four #1, Dan Slott, Sara Pichelli, Simone Bianchi, and then variant covers. Skottie Young has got a backup story, or a sort of, right? But we'll go through all of it. But we just want to warn people that there will be probably some spoilers involved as we get into the Fantastic Four. And I can't go anywhere to start, as much as I'm sure Kade and I are kind of excited, to the man in the Fantastic Four shirt, the guy who's been ready for this to happen since the day they pulled it off the shelves. I want to hear Anthony Brown, Fantastic Four #1, hitting the stands. How do you feel?
Oh, I love it. Thank you for doing this. When this podcast is released, I will most likely be in an airplane somewhere over the United States. So this was kind of my only chance to read this the day it came out, by reading this at midnight. So I am excited to have got my hands on a physical copy and have read it. And I'm so tempted to buy like every single one of like the 800 variant covers just because it is the Fantastic Four. I love the art. I love the story. I love the backup story because it seems like they're going to bring the band back together, which, spoiler alert, the band still isn't reunited by the end of this first issue. However, they're going to pull the band back together. Doom is going to get back up to his shenanigans, and it's going to be a lot of great Fantastic Four stuff. We got plenty of cameos from the Wyatt Wingfoots and Jennifer Walters and Medusas and Crystals and Luke Cages of the world. Really the only person I think we're missing is Herbie at this point. But yeah, I love it. They're back. I have my Fantastic Four t-shirt on, which apparently is really hard to find because all things Fantastic Four are kind of gone from the face of Marvel's existence. And I'm glad that the Fantastic Four are back because, yes, we have been wanting it. I have been wanting it since the day they left and since that terrible movie came out. That left me really emotional. I didn't cry, but I was really upset because I was like, man, this movie really stinks. And if this is the last bit of Fantastic Four I get for however long, I didn't want it to end that way.
All right, so Kade, I'm going to throw to you and give kind of your first impressions as well. You're a FF fan.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I haven't always read all of the volumes that have come out. I've tried more so in the past year to kind of reread the original volume from the 60s, and some of that dialogue is a little bit hard to read, but I try my best to really focus on the plot, and I think that is, like, to me, the epitome of fun comics, is when you focus on that, because it's just fun. That's what it was supposed to be back then. I feel like this issue does a really good job of being fun again. I feel like it kind of captures the heart of the original team and the hope that it tries to instill. The art is great. The first part of the book is drawn by Sara Pichelli, and it's just spot on. If you liked her during her Spider-Man run with Miles Morales, you would definitely enjoy this. Even the backup story featuring Dr. Doom with Simone. Is it Simone or Simon? Bianchi, I think is how you say the last name. And that was pretty awesome. I recognized his art from the Wolverine comics that he did, where Wolverine fought Sabretooth. And so I liked his take on Doom with the art, and they were both written by Dan Slott. Dan Slott's a great writer. I think he knows his Marvel characters really well, and I think that he does kind of like go back to the basics with this book, and he makes you interested and continuing to read it so that you can discover where they're headed in this direction. I think it's an interesting time for Fantastic Four, especially with Disney acquiring the rights from Fox and what they might do in the future with movies, and maybe they can take a point from some of these new stories.
All right, cool. I wasn't sure going in, like, how excited am I going to be? I like Fantastic Four. I like the Lee Kirby stuff. Like the Byrne, Wade. There's some runs I really like. There's also some runs that are a little clunky as you get through there. I mean, not that I think this will be a problem in 2018, but there's some runs where it's a little, at least with retrospect, kind of sexist. Where Sue is not really given enough to do, or she's kind of written off.
You saw some of that here.
Well, I don't know that was sexism as much as a, hopefully, plot machination.
Right.
Because you most of this issue focuses on Johnny and Ben. Where have they been? What has been going on? If you've been following Marvel 2 and 1, you haven't been following what they've been doing. This kind of picks up pretty much from there. And, Johnny is still holding out hope. Ben is kind of resigned to we got to move on and do something else. I really, good writing, good art, doing backup stories, good. A little Impossible Man teaser at the end, funny. The only thing I thought might be a little weird in pacing might have been the part where the little flashback part, but I think that was probably to get the whole team in the issue somewhere. At least that was my presumption, was that was why you had that flashback, to get the whole team having some kind of adventure.
I think it's a precursor to how they're going to get reunited with the Andromeda and Andromedica lady or whatever, and how she can find the nexus to all realities and figure out where they are, and Johnny's gonna have to sing a song to get him there, which I thought that part was kind of clunky. But it was like him singing at the Mets game, and it was just like, okay, I kind of see where this is going. And I don't know, at some point maybe Sue is going to have to sing too, because Sue wanted to sing and she couldn't. And it's going to be a whole device, and next thing you know, we're going to have a Fantastic Four the musical or something like that. And
it's a little reminiscent of the original stories, though, because it is kind of hokey, maybe a little cheesy. So I thought that was funny. That was the plot device that they used to get him back home. Was seeing, because everybody vibrates, according to their home world, and so that's how they got him back home. So I thought, okay, well, I guess
in the flashback bit, So okay, did anything hit you emotionally in this issue at any point where it's like,
I did. Obviously, I didn't flip through the story before I read it. So, you could kind of tell that it wasn't Reed, but when the Fantastic Four flare gun went off and it was like Fantastic Four, and Johnny drops everything and flies off, and everyone in New York is like, it's about time, it's about darn tootin' time. Like everyone's like, go kick some butt, like, and everyone is just there for it, and it's like, they feel how I have felt with this comic not being around for the last several years. That it was well past time that the band get back together, get reunited, and I mean that a Fantastic Four book is on the shelves, especially with all the success the Marvel Cinematic Universe is having, and they're doing all this while tap dancing around the fact that, I mean, a lot of these characters, a lot of these things found their basis and their roots in Fantastic Four. Again, like, we're in the middle of the Infinity War, and a lot of the characters, items, things that are a part of the Infinity, the original Infinity Trilogy kind of circle around the Fantastic Four. I mean, to me, it's still really hard to tell the Infinity story without the Silver Surfer. And he is a, diehard Fantastic Four character who I'm sure will be popping back up soon. I mean, he's had small mini-series here and there that have died out. But, I mean, I think that you're going to see a return of Galactus proper, Silver Surfer proper, and so on and so forth. And, a big celebration when they are finally back.
Dan Slott and Mike Allred did a pretty good Surfer run
Yeah.
last year, so I don't know how many issues ran, maybe 18 or 20.
I
but
feel like they did 2 volumes together, didn't they?
yeah, that's
It was kinda
probably
like
right.
Back to
It's
back.
kind of hard for me to follow with
Yeah,
the
it got a little
relaunching anymore.
confusing. And that was about to say, one of the drawbacks, and not necessarily of this book, is Marvel just pushes out so many number ones, a lot more than DC. So I think that can maybe be like a cumbersome thing for a lot of comic book fans. It's like, oh, there's a new number one. Is this some kind of like gimmick? Are they just trying to get me to buy into this? I did think that the story and the art were solid, so I'd say if you buy it, it's definitely money well spent. But I could see how that could also deter people from getting the book.
Well, I mean, in this case, there hasn't been a Fantastic Four number
That is
one in
true.
a while, so that
That's
helps.
true.
As opposed to X-Men, necessarily, where they kind of
Yeah.
do,
Different
it's gold,
teams.
blue, right? You know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of
It's
different
like
ones.
Pokemon. There's
Right.
yeah.
And now, if 6 months from now there's a Fantastic Four blue or something, then we'll probably be in the position
We're in
where,
trouble.
Yeah. But as for right now, it is
Yeah.
one of the few times where something's been off the shelf for long enough that you kind of feel like, oh yeah, give me those toys again, because
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to play with them. Most of the time, it's almost too often they give you the number
Yeah.
ones, like but this has almost been a long enough time where you can actually
Well, I mean,
build up some natural demand.
I mean, what book has truly been like that? Like, I know that Marvel couldn't go 3 years without X-Men on the show. Like, that, I mean, they don't move the units they used to.
Yeah, I mean they
But
kind of
like
moved
that-
regular Logan off, but then you had Old Man Logan kind of that whole time. So
Yeah.
And they did the X-23 Wolverine. I mean, like, they couldn't do it with Deadpool. Like, you couldn't get rid of Deadpool for 3 years. They definitely wouldn't get rid of an Avengers title for 3 years. So, I mean, like, even with everything that happened with the X-Men, they went all these different directions to kind of not have them be true X-Men titles, which to me is kind of why, hey, let's throw Bendis on this, because we can have X-Men without them actually being X-Men, which is why when they launched Blue, Gold, and Red, they made a big point of saying, like, we're going back to the roots, because the Blue and the Gold team were this, and the costumes in the mansion and in New York and everything else was to bring it back to its roots. And I think that with Fantastic Four, you can't throw some of the backup members in there and say we're going to have a Fantastic Four. Marvel 2-in-1 is a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's like this book is incomplete because the other 2 members of the Fantastic Four aren't there. Plus, all of the backup characters that you
kind of associate. Yeah.
that you associate with.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So for right now, and who knows if the problem is if it's a hit. Marvel's never really known when to leave well enough alone, and you could have 4, 5, 6, 8 Fantastic Four books. But this right now, as a standalone thing, first issue, I felt very compelled to check out the next issue and see what's happening.
Yeah.
And if they keep, like, say, a story going in one non-relaunched Fantastic Four issue thing for 50-something issues, that seems like it would be a very promising step.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that they will just be because Dan Slott's on the title. When he was on Spider-Man, he got there, and I mean he stayed there. They did a couple of relaunches because of the
3.
Superior.
Yeah.
I mean, he even did relaunches within his own run.
Yeah.
I mean, of Spider-Man 700. So like,
Yeah.
but I'm just like Dan Slott gets on a title and he tends.
Now, he
to
did have a long run, and maybe that's just me being nitpicky. The fact that they relaunched it 3 or 4 times within his same run is a little irritating to me. But
Yeah, it was.
but I suppose they need it gets some sales. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the third relaunch to me,
Yeah.
was kind of pointless because it was like, hey, we did it for 13.4 issues.
Yeah.
Because they did all those. They did that one 4-part deal, but it's like, hey, we did 13.4 issues, then we restarted at 1, but nothing changed between
Yeah.
this and that.
It's like pointless.
Yeah, and then it was just like, here we go. But it was a new direction leading out of Secret Wars or whatever, and it was
Battle World and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. It just,
so, I mean, what do you guys think? Maybe this isn't super relevant, but okay, if Fantastic Four, Dan Slott story that goes 50 issues, and it's just straight, they just take you through it, or every 20 or so issues there's a new number one because they feel like they need to juice the numbers. Does that affect your enjoyment of the title one way or the other?
I feel like if the story's good, the story's gonna be good, but I still think that it's just like a cheap gimmick. I mean, I think it also confuses people, especially people who don't follow comics well enough. They're like, oh, I got this number one. And you say, well, which number one did you get? And they might say, what are you talking about? Like, oh, well, there's been 4 number ones this year. Right. So maybe they get a number 2, but it's from a different volume. That's kind of the frustrating thing about it. And I feel like I've been to comic shops where people are like, hey, I'm looking for this, Spider-Man number 10. And you're thinking, okay, they're probably not looking for the one from the 60s. It's probably from one of the more recent reboots, but which one? Because there's several. Right. So that becomes frustrating and confusing.
Yeah, I think it does make it kind of more insular. I think they're saying we're doing it to get new fans, but it kind of makes it more insular because you're like, I want to collect this Howard the Duck series. And I actually, was it you? Somebody was telling me about this guy who was trying to collect the Howard Duck series and ended up with, I've got 1 through 8. And they were just from all different series.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, Howard the Duck, how complicated should that really be?
Yeah.
But, so.
It definitely is.
I think that they have to, I guess that's kind of the good thing about the Fantastic Four is they've always had the one core title. It wasn't like, here's Fantastic Four and then here's all these spin-offs. It's always just been one core book. With X-Men, you'd get the Logan and Gambit spin-off. You'd get the Crimson... I forget.
Crimson Dawn,
Crimson Dawn deal. You'd get all these other ones. The original Astonishing X-Men run. Kind of on and on and on and on. But with Fantastic Four, it was always just that. The Inhumans were their own set of characters, and they had their own little sub-story, but that was a 12-part this or that, or a 4-part, or a 16-part. And even the 16-part deal was split with Black Widow for part of it. So, I mean, I guess that's the thing that makes the Fantastic Four unique, is that they are a main attraction in and of themselves, and then everyone else comes to the Fantastic Four. You don't really see them cameoing in a lot of books. Like it's, here's Iron Fist, here's Luke Cage, here's, I'm sure as soon as they get back and set foot on solid ground, that Namor's going to be poking his nose around again here really soon too. We're probably going to see a return of the Skrulls because we haven't seen them since Secret Invasion. Really, I mean, for the most part. I mean, there's just so many loose ends with this that I think that now that Marvel has all their stuff back, they can go about reuniting everything. I mean, reuniting everything and making the Marvel universe whole, because it's been incomplete. And like one of the things that's really upset me is in recent years they put out their posters that have like all of their characters in, and I think people may know the poster that I'm talking about. It's like an 11 by 17 kind of poster that's landscape, and it's got all their characters on it front to back, and you see just everyone. But in these more recent ones, they've replaced all the X-Men and Fantastic Four with Miles Morales and all these other people, and it's just like that stinks. Like, so let's stop bastardizing our own brand and get back to who we are, and put out comic books that make people not want to read DC Comics.
You're saying do what Marvel does well, and here's a question. I mean, we've asked this kind of in different ways on different shows. The movies are so popular, the shows are so popular, the Netflix shows are so popular. How does Marvel do something in the comics that you can't get anywhere else? I think this actually maybe did a decent job of doing it, but in general, how does that work? And did you think that was something in this issue where you're like, yeah, that felt like a great comic book? It didn't feel like something that wanted to be something else.
Maybe the scene where it actually shows Reed Richards and Sue Storm. They're in outer space. I know CGI can cost a lot of money in TV shows. I remember hearing that with The Flash when they did King Shark. It was so expensive to do King Shark because he was all CGI and stuff like that. And I think that's what you can get out of a comic, is you can get a good artist that can really take the imagination of the author and just explore it well. And I think that's what Sara Pichelli will do. That's what I've always liked about the Fantastic Four, is they are not Earthbound 2. They are intergalactic travelers, and that's just fun. Because you want to go out and you want to explore what you don't know. It's about that final frontier, outer space, and I feel like that's what Fantastic Four does really well. I think that's the really cool plot points from the old books with the Silver Surfer saga that they had. And that's what I want to see. I want to see them going all over the place, doing like time travel, new characters. It feels like they introduced that new character in there, and I already forgot her name.
Medica or something like that.
Yeah, Andromedica. Seemed cool, seemed fun, seemed like it had some heart into it too, so it wasn't dark. And the Fantastic Four shouldn't be dark. They're Marvel's first family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not that there can't be some peril or some adventure or some excitement, but it should. But it's supposed to be fun, and you know, they are a family, and they do care about each other, and they do crack a lot of jokes historically. So that's something you kind of want to see.
Yeah. I also want to see again another spoiler alert, whether or not Ben and Alicia actually make it to getting married this time. They've kind of tried it several times in the past, and hopefully this time we'll go through and it won't be like the Kitty Pryde Colossus wedding where it's just like, yeah, they're going to get married and then...
Well, you know the whole history. What is how? I mean, I know that, you know, there was the whole thing where they went off to Secret Wars, and then Johnny ended up marrying Alicia, and then it ended up not being Alicia.
Right.
How did the Thing and Alicia... They eventually, I guess, got back together, but how have they not gotten married since then? Just hasn't ever come up, or...
It's come up on a couple of occasions, like, where they've attempted at it, but, you know, the Silver Surfer shows back up and he gets in the way, or Ben gets angry, or some, you know, the Puppet Master returns. Like, there's always been kind of something that's gotten in the way that it's just like, okay, like, we're going to try this one more time. So, and Dan Slott is kind of notorious for that, because during his Spider-Man run, there have been several times where it's been hinted at that Peter and MJ were going to get back together, and then, like, something else would happen, and then they wouldn't, or it's just like, well, here she is for a cameo, and now, oh, wait, she's over here in Iron Man doing the Iron Man books for, like, a year and a half or 2 years, and it's just like, come on, like, you know. So I guess for me with those two characters, if they're dating, whatever, if they get married, like, okay, that's fine too. They're just kind of together. It's kind of like Scott and Jean, whether or not they're dating or not, like, it's kind of, they just kind of belong together. So I can go either way, but I don't want it to be like, well, they're getting married and the next thing you know, she ends up being a Skrull again, or
that would be ridiculous.
One of them doesn't make it, or don't even go the route where, you know, Ben is racing through space time and wormholes to get to the wedding on time. Like, if you're gonna do it, just do a simple wedding and have that be the culmination of this first story arc or something. And just have that be a nice, cute little bow that you put on it. And
were you shocked when she was a Skrull the first time? Do you remember?
Yes.
Like, that was a pretty good... I mean, that's a pretty good swerve, right? I mean, as far as these things go.
Well, I mean, it was kind of the first one like that to me. Like, I know I wasn't expecting it, but also I had a fledgling mind, so, like, I wasn't thinking in broader terms. So it was just like, oh, like, you don't see that coming, or like, but also, I don't know, it was kind of a spoiler-free time. I was left with my imagination and my comics, and I just kind of did that. And so I think back on a lot of things that happened, like Stripe being revealed as a clone of Cable, and then like Stripe having like this sword of Apocalypse that, like, he plunged into his heart and killed Apocalypse. I was like, wait a minute, like, you can't do, you know, like, Apocalypse half dead just beat up the X-Men like 4 issues of Executioner song ago. Like, what is going on? And then, like, just, so, I mean, there's been so many things that have happened, and now it's like, I can't, because I've read so many comics, part of me thinks like, well, okay, where is this going? But also it's like, I can't trust anything on its face anymore.
For sure.
Because it's like, hey, they teased, I mean, what was it, the first 30 issues of X-Men Gold teased out Kitty and Colossus.
Yeah.
And then when push came to shove, it was just like, yeah, we went a completely different way. And it's just like, Well, what the hell was that?
That was several of the wedding comics this year.
Yeah.
It's been a strange. I mean,
Colossus,
spoilers for all the
Pride.
weddings this year, but
Yeah.
it's been a strange year for comic book
And
weddings.
it's just like, it's okay for people to do it. And I mean, like, people have gotten divorced. Like, I mean, Black Panther and Storm got divorced, but like,
They don't really bring it up.
Yeah, no one can get married.
Yeah, so that's strange. I think that's also kind of gimmicky, in my opinion. It's like it's almost like it's being done for sales. The buildup of this wedding.
Yeah,
and you're
and
going to
then we're
buy
not
this
gonna have
wedding.
it. Yeah.
And then it doesn't even pan out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she got ostensibly. I guess this is way spoilers for something we're not even talking about, but X-Men Gold.
yeah,
You ostensibly got a wedding that might have sold better had you said that was what the wedding was going to be.
I personally think so, because there are so many. I remember going to school with so many people that watched the X-Men cartoon,
yeah,
that loved Rogue and Gambit. That it was just like, if you were to push this, I could post that on my Facebook in my high school Facebook group and say, hey, look, like, these people are getting married. Like, buy this issue.
Yeah, from the cartoon.
Yeah, from the cartoon.
Yeah, more
like,
people. I think more people know Rambit and Goat
Right.
than this is a midnight show, guys. Than know Kitty and Colossus, I believe.
yeah. Especially because of the exposure from the TV show, because that was kind of like the couple that you love to watch, because Gambit was kind of the bad boy. You know, he kind of had that Cajun flair. And, you know, there was Rogue. I mean, she was hot. She was the strong character that kind of kept Gambit in check. And so they were...
And Gambit hasn't been in the movies a ton. He appeared in the one, but Rogue has been in most of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, that's just... I kind of thought that was a weird kind of debate and switch with something like, well, your Switch might have sold better than your...
Exactly.
Than your bait. Which is not super relevant in the Fantastic Four, other than it appears we may be heading for a wedding in the Fantastic Four. But... yeah, a lot of fun. I mean, crazy amount. 27, I think, variant covers. I mean, that's a whole separate topic. I think variant covers are getting a little crazy, but it seems like that's something that the industry is really moving toward right now. I don't know if that's a trend that's going to go away or just keep growing or not. But
I think it's going to go away. I think that they did it for these big Marvel relaunches when they did Thor, Iron Man, Avengers, and so like, hey, they're going to do that. And rumor has it that later this fall, they're going to do a full-blown X-Men after this X-Men Death Hunter, whatever. Ahab is coming after the original 5 X-Men deal. It wraps up that, like, somehow or another, Cyclops and Professor X, and they're all going to be back, and they're going to do a full-blown X-Men. So it's just like, okay, let's do it.
The number ones are almost kind of mean, though, because they, like, really play on the OCD people who are going to buy every single copy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's something that I hope that it doesn't continue the way that it is. I think variant covers are cool, especially if it's like a 1 in 50 or something like that. But don't do them as much. Like, we don't need 27 covers.
It's just kind of a lot. I mean, I guess there is a deal where, well, maybe I want a Fantastic Four #1 and I want it to be by my favorite artist, and they happen to do it, but it does seem to be...
Get a blank cover.
Yeah.
Find your artist at a convention, have him sketch you something. Then you have something that's completely unique.
To me, it does seem to maybe be taking away from the specialness of, I mean, even maybe the regular issue to some degree. I mean, if Amazing Spider-Man, the classic one that we all know, had 50 covers...
Yeah.
I mean, would you think it was as cool, or
exactly?
I don't know if you would.
I don't know if I would.
It's
either.
not. It wouldn't be iconic. Like that's the thing. Like there are iconic covers that are out there. I mean, even the stuff that's mid-run, like the death of Jean Grey or the death of the Phoenix or you know whatever. Days of Future Past, Giant Size X-Men #1, Fantastic Four pick one, 48 through basically 52.
Yeah.
All of those covers are iconic, and it's just like...
Well, that's a fair question. Can you name... I think I can think of maybe one, but can you name a iconic cover that had a variant cover on the same issue?
Iconic cover that also had a variant cover. And you're talking just like a completely different drawing and not counting... You know, the ridiculous stuff like
at the time of release.
Variant.
Right. Not like something that was, back in the day.
Newsstand.
Right. A completely different drawing. Can you name a cover that is like, wow, that is a classic cover that had a variant?
Also another one.
Yeah. I can think of one that I might say.
You could probably, I guess you could say New Avengers by Bendis, but is that, but that's not even icon. They've reused it a bunch of times. The Shadow figure. But
that's not a bad argument. That's maybe.
It's not even iconic though, because if you showed that to a regular person,
and some of these are more recent because variants are more recent. So you're talking about books that haven't been around as long.
Sure,
I could see some that I've gotten. So possibly Civil War.
Maybe Civil War.
What I'm thinking of off the top of my head is that Captain Marvel number 17, the second print. That features Kamala Khan.
Well, it's a very popular and expensive comic right now.
It is. But it has her, since it's her first appearance as the new Miss Marvel, she's on the cover. And I feel like it's a cooler cover than the first print. So maybe in years to come, that will be seen as a more iconic cover for Miss Marvel.
Yeah, but I can't. I guess from at least the Marvel canon, DC doesn't do a lot of variant cover stuff. Or, they're doing it now, but in the past they didn't. I can't think of any.
I can't think of any.
The two I had are from DC, and you might, I don't know, you can argue. One is Batman 608 when they did the second printing
of Hush.
Yeah.
Of Hush. That's kind of almost
awesome.
More iconic than the first printing.
That's true,
right?
And then Death of Superman. There's the flag, this the Cape flag cover that everybody kind of recognizes, but then the black bag was like a tombstone cover.
Yeah.
Those, but okay, out of a billion comics that they're putting variant covers on right now, we can think of 6.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a problem for the hobby down the road where, none of these covers are that,
Well, they don't have enough time to breathe, and also the stories aren't, they don't resonate in the same way. Like, Civil War, they did the variant covers for, but
they were at least 1 in 25 or something, right? I think
the Michael Turner stuff, they had a couple of other ones, but they had the what was it? I was gonna say Art Asylum, but there was even one that was like 1 in 100. So they did the Michael Turner cover, then they had the black and white one, but then they had a variant by someone else that was it was even better art than Michael Turner, and I know that's kind of blasphemy in some realms, but it was just ooh, I didn't even know this cover existed until I looked on eBay and saw this is a $400 comic, even back in 2004 or 5, whenever Civil War was.
Yeah.
All right, I took you guys off stretch a little bit, but to me it does seem like, I don't know. I really enjoyed this. Would I've enjoyed it more if there just been one cover, not 27? I don't know. That's kind of cool. If it's your thing.
Yes.
If you're I'm the biggest Fantastic Four fan, or I'm the biggest Captain America fan, and I want 10 covers celebrating it.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of cool. But it's just, at what point is that maybe too much?
It could possibly deter from sales too, because if people show a book to a person that isn't typically a comic book buyer, and they say, this is a book you got to read, and maybe they go to the store and that specific cover's sold out, and maybe they don't understand that the variant covers are the same book, and they don't buy it.
Yeah.
So it could work against you, especially for a person that just does not frequent comic book stores.
Okay, so here's my knock on this. If you're bringing Fantastic Four back, they've got all of these variant covers. To me personally, I probably would have went with the Alex Ross cover. As the cover of this, and I don't know who did the art on this, but I'm that's not befitting of...
I think that's Ribic.
That is Ribic, who I think is going to be the regular cover artist.
Yeah, I don't feel like that does the Fantastic Four justice. And he was the last person to draw them in a comic together, or I guess kind of together in Secret Wars.
Well, here's another question. If you didn't have 30 other ones to look at, would you be oh, that's a cool cover? But now that you've seen the other covers, you're like, nah.
For me, this doesn't do it for Fantastic Four. It doesn't do it for me for Fantastic Four.
I don't have a problem with it, but I do think it becomes, when you have so many, that is maybe
cumbersome.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't see him as his interior stuff is great, but his cover artist stuff doesn't always do it for me. Whereas there are some people that are vice versa, where it's their interior art's not great, but their cover stuff is
It's
pretty good.
hard to beat you down on Alex Ross. That is a cool Alex Ross cover.
Mm-hmm. So,
And there are several cool covers. I mean, if you just want to collect a bunch of cool Fantastic Four covers, even like, I wish I had more Fantastic Four covers in my life. I go to the store because there are going to be a bunch of them, and a lot of them are pretty cool.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
It's just, is it good in the long term? Maybe that's not your problem or my problem. Maybe that's someone else's problem.
It's someone else's problem.
For our purposes, I think we all enjoyed this comic.
I did enjoy it. Yeah.
And I think we would all say, hey, we picked it up. We'd be interested maybe in following what's happening with the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
We're pleased to see the team back again. So, Anthony, you want to give me some final thoughts here? Do you have final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, buy it because it's Fantastic Four and it's back. Support the book. It's what Marvel's been missing, because they truly are at the heart of the Marvel universe, despite Marvel's best efforts in recent years to show otherwise. But also, I want to see how they're going to reconcile a lot of the stuff, one that's taken place since they've been gone, because a lot has transpired. I'm sure that Peter Parker's going to show up, and he owned the Baxter Building for a little while, and did some of that stuff. But also, it's kind of like they're skipping over the entire Secret Wars portion of it, where at the end of Secret Wars, it wasn't like that they were stranded in space. They actually chose to stay out in space to rebuild the universe that was torn apart. Thanks to the Avengers, I guess, and Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run. So I want to see how they're going to reconcile all that, and see, what other people are going to show up and pop in and out, and how they're going to reconnect with the Marvel Universe as a whole.
Kate, what do you think? Final thoughts?
I thought it was a good book. I don't think that anything happened in it that I thought, oh my god, this blew my mind. So it wasn't like that, but I think that it does get back to the basics with the Fantastic Four. I think it's probably going to be a really good jumping on point for people who maybe even haven't even read a Fantastic Four before. Fantastic Four book before.
Midnight Show.
Yeah, Midnight Show, guys. Don't judge me. So I think that Dan Slott is a great storyteller. Obviously, he was kept on Spider-Man for so long for a reason.
Sure.
I could see that this is just going to be a great run that he does. It's an oversized issue. It has a lot of information in it, a lot to unpack, and a lot to implement for the future of the story. So I think it's definitely worth your money.
Yeah, cool stuff with Doom, which we didn't super talk about, but some cool stuff with Doom.
Yeah.
A little bit of slow-paced main story, but it really does get you knowing who these characters are. So if you haven't read it at all, you're going to get to know who these characters are. And if you have known who the characters are, and I don't know, maybe it was just me, but obviously this, when I turned here, I was like, that kind of got me. The kind of final page of the
Splash
main
page.
story. You're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, there it comes. Yeah. There it is. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. We'd love to know what you think as well. You can send us an email at infinitedangerroom@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at DangerInfinite on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. We're Infinite Danger Room there. We'd love to hear your thoughts there. You can also leave us a rating or a review on iTunes. You can also listen to the show via SoundCloud or at newsok.com. So for Kade Poulson and Anthony Brown, I am Matthew Price, and thank you for listening.